So what's going on, guys? Good to see you. Barricade here talking about my review experience of Diablo IV, the brand new MMORPG coming out from Blizzard in June. This game was pretty solid. The storyline, got me. And it's going to get you too, but in this video, there's no story spoilers, so don't worry about that. What was my motivation? What was my goal with this limited experience of Diablo? While it was the whole game, it was the following. I wanted to take a character beyond the Fractured Peaks. Many of you guys were just like me. I never got access to the alpha. I only got to play the early access beta, open beta, and the server slam. And I finally got given an opportunity because you guys made it possible to play the full version of Diablo 4. That's a no-brainer. We cut a couple hours off every stream, and I dedicated like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. every single day that I was able to play this game and get content and get knowledge of the game so I could share it with you guys and be able to answer questions when needed. So my motivations primarily when playing this game were to do the following, right? Check out what player versus player felt like, check out Nightmare Dungeons, Nightmare Sigil crafting, learning more about the Tree of Whispers, how the Paragon board works, what glyphs are like, can you take them out, put them in, leveling them up, what's all that like, and Helltides. How do Helltides feel? Basically the end game operations in Diablo 4. I can finally tell you in this video, and I'm going to, what that's like on a class that I will be maining, the Barbarian. And the build that I used will be linked in the description of this video, so you don't got to worry about it. You can follow along, it'll be listed right there for you to enjoy. Much love to you, and let's dig into the video. Kicking things off, we're going to go with PvP, the Fields of Hatred, and how Shards of Hatred work. So whenever you enter a PvP zone, in this case the Brittle Ruins, you're going to see at the top right hand side of your screen, next to the map, a Seeds of Hatred counter. This tells you your total amount of Seeds of Hatred that you have. Seeds of Hatred can be dropped from players and monsters alike. When you're first in a PvP zone, it may not automatically be enabled, at least for me in this review version of Diablo it wasn't. Being marked for blood allows players to attack you on site immediately, right? And so I manually turned mine on because I was looking for a good time, and you could do the same if it's anything like the version I played. You open up your radial menu, you mouse wheel down, and it's right there marked for blood. Turning that on, you'll see your character goes all nice bright red. You got that red aura around your character. In addition to this, though, I think attacking another player would automatically engage you in marked for blood or flagged for PvP mode. And in addition to that, there's cleansing stations in these PvP areas. So going to a cleansing station to try and cleanse your Seeds of Hatred takes 60 seconds to do. I believe it alerts other players in the region that you're trying to cleanse your shards so that you can convert them into a currency you can gamble with. Takes 60 seconds, players know what's going on, and the game spawned monsters to try and kill me. And when you die, you drop all of your Seeds of Hatred. So you gotta sort of balance how many Seeds of Hatred you want to exit with. In this review version of the game, gambling was 3,000 shards. So for every 3,000 shards of hatred I had, I could gamble up a piece of gear from the NPC. While I was getting Seeds of Hatred on World Tier 3, I cleansed them all and then changed my world difficulty to World Tier 4, and I noticed I had the exact same amount of red dust, but I was able to gamble on what I suspect is going to be ancestral gear. If you looked at the gear on the left-hand side from the vendor, for the unsavory oddities, you'll notice it has the same visual appearance as ancestral gear does in the game. So it may be a method that you want to kind of collect Seeds of Hatred on an earlier world tier or easier world tier, and then go ahead and spend it on a more difficult world tier to potentially hit higher valuable items. Again, I don't know if that's going to go live. That's something that I noticed while playing this version of the game. So as like an overview for PvP in Diablo 4, what did I think of it? I thought it was frickin' awesome, man. I really can't wait to get a squad together, roll on into any Fields of Hatred and see how we do. It's gonna be a blast, man. You go from like just farming demons and collecting the currency and spending it and gambling. And this is a very lucrative place to gamble, by the way. Like, you got treasure goblins in here, you got a boss you could take out, you got players you're gonna kill, you're being alerted all the time to people trying to cleanse their currency. It's actually gonna be sick, man. I can't wait. You can't tell I'm very enthusiastic and very hyped to check out some of this PvP because the combat feels really good in Diablo 4, and player combat is solid too. So as a Whirlwind Barb, I felt really good, and I don't know what you guys are going to do, but felt nice to me. I think you should check it out if you're even interested in PvP. I think this game is going to be, hopefully, really solid. From my experience, it was great. And up next, we're going to talk about Helltides in Diablo 4. Helltides are unique endgame experiences that seem to occur randomly. A region of the world is marked as a Helltide area for 1 hour. So located at the top right hand side of the screen next to the map, you can see is the remaining Helltide duration and your total Aberrant Cinder count. The Aberrant Cinder is a unique currency that drops from Helltides. In Helltides, you can also obtain Fiend Roses from the area and from caches you open with Aberrant Cinders. Aberrant cinders, though, do disappear if you leave the zone or if you don't spend them all within the hour. The Helltide caches have different redemption amounts based on the kind of cache you want to open. So what's cool is you'll approach a cache and it'll say, for example, amulets, and it'll tell you how many aberrant cinders you need to open it. Amulets cost, in this version, 125. It varies, so amulets are 125, a two-handed weapon from a cache costs 175 aberrant cinders to open. Monster difficulty was slightly more difficult than stuff I'd faced in the world, so when I was in a Helltide, it seemed like it was +5 levels higher than me. In this video here, you can see I'm level 50 spinning through, and these guys are all level 55. So when that translates over to events inside of Helltide areas, those events might be a little bit more than you can chew, so just be aware of that. Like, it's throttled up a little bit, and that's kind of nice. Keeps you wanting to get stronger so you can just navigate by and just deliver some clean justice to those demons, you know what I'm saying? Next up on that chopping block is going to be the Tree of Whispers. At its core, the Tree of Whispers is a bounty system in Diablo IV. When you complete specific targeted events in the world, you add that completed event to your total. These specific events are called Grim Favors, and you're trying to complete any amount of events so that your total Grim Favor value is equal to 10. Once you've reached 10, you can go visit the Tree of Whispers and turn in 10 Grim Favors and try to get your reward. And it's pretty random. If you're looking for the events to complete so that you can gain Grim Favor, open up your map. The icons on your map will be obvious and they stand out. And also have varying shades of red. The brighter the red that the icon is, the more Grim Favor you get for completing it. The levels of Grim Favor you get for completing certain events will always range from 1, 3, and 5. Or at least they did in this version of the game. Personally, my approach was running 2 dungeons. So running a dungeon gave me 5 Grim Favor. So I would do 2 dungeons, I'd get good dungeon XP, I'd get dungeon loot, and then after 2 dungeons, that would equal 5 Grim Favor. I go visit the tree, cross my fingers, hope to Christ to get something good, get disappointed, go again, go again, go again. But it was kind of cool because I would get to choose, hey, I want boots this time, I want an amulet, I want a helmet, things like that. And I'm going for that Harlequin crest, as you should too. So I'm doing everything I can to push my loot drops to give me the best items for my build. Anyway, for the Tree of Whispers, this is what I think, amazing EXP farm. It may be the best in the game. You get dungeon grinding XP, you then get this crazy amount of XP in addition to just running 2 dungeons. And I don't think there's anything better at this point. So I'm going to say it, I think the Tree of Whispers is the best way to grind EXP in the game, but I'm curious to see what other people are doing out there to get their XP. There's a waypoint really close to the Tree of Whispers, which makes it extremely convenient just to kind of pop in, grab some stuff, and get out. Really, really nice. When choosing your reward for the turn-in, sometimes you get a Chaos reward, which can be anything. It's not specific, as you see here. Sometimes when you're redeeming your Grim Favors for the Tree of Whispers, you'll see a greater option. It's in gold. I've taken that every single time. I think it's the correct choice. Like, more often than not, there's value inside that option over the other ones. And if there's many gold or greater versions, take whichever one's most appropriate for your build in the weakest item that you're trying to replace. From the rewards that you get from the Tree of Whispers, you can also get sigils. And sigils lead into the next part of the video. And so next up, we're talking about one of the most exciting things for me, Nightmare Dungeons. To start off a Nightmare Dungeon, you're going to need to use a Nightmare Sigil. These can be found in the Consumables tab of your character's inventory screen after you visited the Tree of Whispers and obtained your first one. When you use a Nightmare Sigil, check the map. You'll see a different icon for the specific dungeon that Nightmare Sigil has affected. Additionally, when your character arrives at a Nightmare Dungeon entrance, you're going to see runes or sigils that are sort of animating or falling on the entrance, letting you know that that's the Nightmare version of that dungeon. The monster difficulty scales as the higher value of the Nightmare Dungeon rises. And you'll see in this example, I'm currently running a level 17 Nightmare Dungeon. If you want to see the conditions of the Nightmare Dungeon that you're in, open up your map while you're inside. To the left will display all of the Nightmare modifiers currently affecting that dungeon. You're only allowed a specific amount of deaths before you fail the challenge of completing any Nightmare Dungeon. However, resurrecting a fallen teammate is a pretty solid loophole to get around that mechanic, as it doesn't penalize you when you resurrect a teammate for dying. It doesn't count towards the total deaths on the run, because you saved him. Nice going. So at the end of each Nightmare Dungeon that I've played, there was a rare and a legendary that I got for completing it. Also at the end of Nightmare Dungeons, you're going to see an invulnerability bubble that surrounds this object that you engage with, so that you can spend time looking at the glyphs that you have and spending experience points that you get rewarded for completing Nightmare Dungeons. So for me, Nightmare Dungeons are awesome. They remind me very much of Mythic Plus, and I loved Mythic Plus. It's a good way for PvE players to really test their builds to see how far they can go. outside of like Helltides that are going to become kind of easy for you, Nightmare Dungeons are the ultimate test of, is your character built in a well-rounded way, or hey, how well do I know my character so that I can use XYZ gear with a certain build to just fly through this certain set of attributes that the Nightmare Dungeons got. I think it's a very diverse endgame system and one that we're going to spend the most time enjoying in Diablo 4 until seasons start, and who knows what kind of seasonal mechanics we have with that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about today was Paragon Boards, because I had a lot of questions about them, and maybe this will help answer some of those same questions for you. So once you reach level 50 in Diablo 4, your experience bar is going to look a little bit different. You'll notice it sort of looks like it's divided into 4 sections. That's because for every 25% of your level that you complete, you get a Paragon point that you can allocate to your Paragon board. And this stops at level 100. Level 100 is the max in Diablo 4. Beyond this level restriction, you can also get an additional 4 Paragon points for progressing a specific region's renown level. Think of like the Fractured Peaks. There was 5 renown levels you could get, and at the very end, you get awarded Paragon points. Just remember that sellers and events, they don't apply renown to that region as you complete them. So if you're looking to do renown farming, just skip those events. Glyphs are randomly dropped from Nightmare Dungeons, so once you obtain a glyph, you can level it up to a maximum level 20 by spending experience points that you earn by completing Nightmare Dungeons. To use a glyph, you must spend a Paragon point to unlock that slot for the glyph that you choose to be inserted into. So on your Paragon board, you're going to work your way up. You don't just get that glyph for free, you have to spend a Paragon point to say, I want that node on the board, which is a glyph node. The range of nodes that a glyph can affect changes based on the level of the glyph, which maxes out at level 20. I do think that the maximum range that that glyph can affect, though, will be reached before that glyph ever hits level 20. Before you attach a Paragon board, you'll see a menu of all the different Paragon boards available for you to choose from, and their dedicated legendary and rare nodes on that Paragon board. So the cool thing is that you can preview it before you ever have to, rotate and attach it. Sick. And so this will be the general response portion of the video. What did I think about it? I liked the betas. I had fun in there, and I couldn't wait to do more, and thank God this opportunity came across the table. So this game has got something for people that enjoy PvP. I think I could spend all night doing PvP. I get cosmetic rewards for doing it. A lot of funny moments are going to come up, guaranteed, from PvP. I know you're going to get caught in a bad situation, so am I. And I'm going to want to go back there and kick the shit out of whoever took me out and bring my friends with me. You bring your friends, and who knows what happens, right? That sounds like a good time. But then there's the PvE side of it, which is the Nightmare Dungeon stuff, which is pretty cool. Or Helltide farming for a while. That's going to be fun, too. And it's not too long after the game comes out that we have seasonal play. That's going to be fun as well. The game's got a lot to offer. I think for what we've got so far, man, I can't wait to see what the future holds, to be honest. We don't have runes yet. We don't really know how sets are going to be implemented into the game. We have no idea. So I like that there's a diversity in the game, and the platforms here, you can do all these things. Itemization is very difficult. One of the hardest things I couldn't do is get a good main hand weapon. I kid you not. I had 10 uniques drop in this game for me, maybe even 11, right? I used many when it made sense to, and others I just didn't have to use because I had a good item level, a good item power on my weapons, so I didn't have to swap for a unique ability, right? The best one-handed weapon I had was a friggin' blue mace. It was a blue mace. I had a blue mace and a rare sword. I was like, there's no way I'm going to show these guys that. That's sad. But that's the truth. That did the most damage for me. That was sick. I had a bludgeoning weapon, had a mace, had a sword, had a polearm. I'm like, okay. So the walking arsenal thing is going on this barb. That's pretty cool. And by the way, the whirlwind barb was awesome. I had a rough go of things with that capstone dungeon. When Riker was mentioning, he thought he'd go in there at 45. He knows his stuff, and he got clapped. I got smashed. When I went in there, I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll see how I do, compared to Riker, right? Let's see how I do. Wasn't that easy, man. It wasn't that easy, but I learned more about itemization as I played the game. So I was discovering more about Diablo 4 the more I played it. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I didn't have all the answers. I just got in there with the opportunity and made the most of it. And I'd encourage you guys, after this video, to just check things out. Now I understand how damage bucket multipliers work, and this character you're watching is going to be a hell of a lot more dangerous when this guy reaches the surface, when the gates of hell launch open, and I get to strut my stuff and show up, kick somebody right in the face. It's going to be fantastic. And I encourage you guys to join us when we get in there. There's 25 clans of people before pixels are going to strut their stuff in Sanctuary and Diablo 4, and I sincerely cannot wait to do world bosses with you. I can't wait to do dungeons with you guys. take to the fields of hatred and just see what kind of mess we can get into. Keeping it family friendly, of course. Nothing too crazy. Leave your ego at the door. It's video games. Have some fun. I can't wait, but I have to. Just a couple more sleeps and we're all going to enjoy the game. I am going to leave you with a couple things here. I got clapped by a couple world bosses, right? And the thematics of these bosses are so cool, right? You're going to love that. And in addition, I'll give you one little greasy moment here. A good friend of ours tried to get after it on his druid in PvP. And he hits very hard, but, you know, I'll let the footage speak for itself. For all you guys that checked out the video, if you lasted this long, this is a bit of bonus footage for you. Have a good time and enjoy. Much love. I'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, I'm ready to fully.
You ready to grit? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Give me your worst.
Oh no, you have your shield out.
All right. These fucking snakes hurt. Stand by, stand by, stand by.
Dude, whatever that shield is, I cannot go through that shield.
I know. It's okay.
No, seriously, that shield is insane.